Who woke you up? What is that? Oh, how you doing, man? Yeah. All right, I'm doing good. Good. See you. All right. How are you? The reason we're doing this up here is because our first one was the girl doing coke in that room, and you change her to the tree.
That's right. And that was before the shoot started.
Yeah. And you didn't have the keys.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
we left you here that evening.
That's it.
Yeah. And,
horrible.
And then
The guy drowns in your pool.
shooting the guy in the pool.
Yeah.
So we came back.
This
to
is
the
one
s-
of these sets.
To the scene
It
of
looks
the
exactly
scene of
the same.
Yeah.
Cobwebs, Miss Favisham in the corner dying.
And that. Oh yeah, right there. That was the where you had the TV and Danny came in and apologized. And you said, "Is that an apology?"
It's cheap shooting it then, huh?
Huh?
Cheap shot.
Yeah.
Cheap shot then, man.
Well, we had to be in those days.
Yeah.
The first one was like, it wasn't the, I mean, it was in, 80-something? 80?
We shot in 86.
86.
July 86
And you'd think that was in the full swing of the big Hollywood budget, fucking the booming industry where they just threw money at everything and wanted it to be opulent and big.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
I remember hearing the budget and I went, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
It was nothing.
Yeah.
But hey, there you go.
Yeah.
The environment that I walked into as a writer, mid-'80s, was very different. There was a market for someone who sat down with an original notion in their head and wrote a script. And if it were good enough, people would buy it for a lot of money. Often people would bid for it.
The system was different then. We were in this incredible artistic company that just happened to be a business. So I think the approach in those days was much more, you could pitch things from an artistic standpoint. It's not that we didn't care about the budgets, it's that the process was more familial.
Companies like us were making about 20 movies a year. If you're betting that they're all going to be hits, you're a moron. So you had to accept the premise that in this package, there are going to be some small ones, some medium ones, some large ones, and some disappointments.
I think it was much more of a cowboy time, you know? It was much more freewheeling.
It wasn't as if the action movie was what it is today. I like to, kind of clarify that the summers were not full of action pictures, and except for the Bond films and the Dirty Harry movies, there weren't a lot of action movies around.
I had just come out of college, and what I was looking to do at that time was to write an urban Western, I thought, because one of my all-time favorite films is Dirty Harry. That's what I was thinking about for that character, sort of the Frankenstein who everyone reviles him for what he did, for what he's capable of, for the things he still believes in, because we think that we're all, placid and tame, but in fact violence intrudes in a horrible way, and then they have to knock on Frankenstein's cage and say, well, we kind of need what you do, even though we hate and revile you. Please come out and kill these people for us. And it's the old gunslinger. So I thought that would be fun. That would be nice to write an urban Western.
I always loved, even as a kid, reading stories about sort of disparate spirits who come together. And I think that if you can put that together, I always did, that you could make great movies.
There are those that say you're a good cop. I try. I heard about the little stunt yesterday. Pretty heroic.
I like the simple guy. I like the street cop, the plotter, who's also got a lot going on. There's a sort of raunchy, gruff, kind of lanky rhythm to guys just shuffling around the town like Los Angeles in this pursuit of something as noble as justice when they're just two guys in wash and wear suits pulling down a paycheck, and it's not a big one. So those were the characters I wanted to capture. I have a style when I write screenplays that some people comment on because it tends to be more colloquial, more open to the reader, try to jazz things up, or just keep people awake, basically, myself included. So to do this, I used two styles and jammed them together. I took William Goldman, who's a mentor of mine who was tremendous, and Walter Hill, who is very terse and Spartan and has this very punchy, slug-like prose, and I just boom, slammed them together and tried to evoke the best of both worlds. And And I think that the style I hit upon is ultimately a combination of William Goldman and Walter Hill.
And Shane, of course, came along, I mean, totally unknown with his screenplay. And really what I remember was that his agent at the time had submitted the screenplay to a few studios.
The executives at Fox saw it passed, and it went to the town. It went to Warner's, it went to Columbia, it went to Paramount, it went all over the place. But then Mark Canton at Warner Brothers gave it to his management, and Terry and Bob, I guess, said, let's do it.
Warner Brothers bought it with Joel attached. He recognized it as a kind of real hard-bitten, tough guy stuff with a lot of rhythm to it.
Guess what?
What?
I don't want to work with you.
Hey, you don't.
Ain't got no choice. Looks like we both done fucked.
Terrific.
There's a great line, and Roger Murtaugh says, God hates me. And Briggs says, well, hate him back, it works for me. I mean, it's that kind of way they, they talk. Murtaugh says to him, is there anybody you haven't killed? And Riggs says, well, I haven't killed you yet.
The thing that distinguishes Joel in the early 80s was his availability. Because I'd be typing the rewrite of Lethal Weapon, I'd go and knock on Joel's door, and he'd just be kind of sitting around, doing some work. It's, Joel, let me pitch you something. Or better yet, here, read this. And he'd read it, and he'd come back to me. And I did that all day.
We worked together to try to, make the script as good as it could be so that they could essentially hire a director, greenlight it, and make the movie.
The original draft of Lethal Weapon was the kitchen sink. It was 138 pages long. At the end, there's a trailer truck full of cocaine, explodes over the Hollywood Hills, and it's just snowing cocaine over the Hollywood sign. There's helicopters. There's a chase through the, I did everything but light Hollywood on fire at the end. And we said, okay, let's take it up to that ending, but maybe we don't quite go that far. So I reined it back a bit, went back and punched up, added more character stuff. It was more just adding. And so what we subtracted was scale.
You got a hell of a nice family there.
Thank you.
Well, look, I enjoyed the meal. Thanks a lot.
Bullshit, but thanks anyway.
Shane one day had no money, and the next day he was graduated from UCLA, and he was this writer, and everyone went, wow, how did you become Shane Black? So it sort of stimulated a lot of young writers, I think, to really go for it, because he found fabulous success and started throwing these great Halloween parties and became legend.
When Warner's bought it, they immediately were thinking, big people, big players, big actors, big directors, big everything.
The script came from Mark Canton, and he said, would you read this? And so I was in bed reading with my wife, and I said, oh my God. I'd read a lot of these, what do you call it, gratuitous action films, and I read this. It was all, as Mel said, characters.
Yeah.
They were great characters, a little out of adjustment. And they had a great way to go in it. And I put it down. I said, you got to read this, honey. She said, well, I should just read it. And she read it and said, you got to do it. And there's no two ways. That was it.
And they brought in Dick Donner, and the second I talked to him, and the second I, got a sense of what was what, I thought this is going to be a very interesting collaboration.
Dick Donner is one of the great underrated directors. The guy directed The Omen. People forget shit like that.
He's fun. He has this huge laugh. He's up. He gives you a certain confidence. He's easy.
He was a big director in those days, very big. I think it required somebody to connect with Mel and get him to be that guy. And Dick was the right choice. They were right to give to Dick. I remember the day they called me and they said, we've given the script to Dick and he wants to do it. And it was quite an exciting moment. Again, there weren't that many action films being made in those days. So there were a small group of people that knew how to do this. So we put together a really great group that pretty much stayed together for all 4 Lethals.
I just was so thrilled to have an opportunity to use the glitz and the kind of flavor that comes from this sort of baked landscape, this sort of bleached, sun-blinded desert of a city, which isn't really a city, it's a campus.
Bright Los Angeles, sunny kind of guy in a car just going around and following leads, and you know, the cops that are not really working with you, but you're independent from the cops.
And it's all spread out, and it's just people living lives of quiet desperation, basically. I talked to a couple policemen, and they told me about something, this sort of psycho pension business, where a cop, if he wants a vacation with pay, will start acting a little screwy, and he says, you know, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna shoot the first goddamn guy I see, and then sure enough, he goes out on patrol, some guy's walking along, he pulls out a gun, pumps 3 shots over the guy's head, all of a sudden, he's nuts, now he gets 2 months off with pay. And so, as I heard about this, I was thinking, well, that'd be interesting if there was a guy who everyone thinks is doing that. They think he's not crazy. They think, leave him alone. He's just bucking for some kind of psycho pension, when in fact he's genuinely crazy. And I thought that would be, okay, that's the dramatic hook that you can use to get into the movie. So that was a big deal with me psychologically. That was I wanted to make that guy the hero.
Ow! You're not trying to draw a psycho pension. You really are crazy.
There was some mention that he was a sniper in Vietnam and Laos, possibly CIA. And so we did a lot of research about that. And sharpshooters are very lonely, very, removed from society people. They have to be.
A lot of factors come into play here, and I think the dynamics of what people want to see, or how people want to visualize the community or society they live in. I mean, here's an African American and a white guy together, and they're like a family, And I think somewhere in the corner of our hearts, we really want to see that, but sometimes in our mind and everything we do in our daily life keeps us from getting there, But I think the fact is that people see that, embrace that,
I never think about actors while I'm working on a writing piece. It's when you pick up a paperback book and read it. You don't picture movie stars generally. I think you just picture a face, and it's the same way it is when I write. However, I remember hearing Mel Gibson's name and immediately thinking, oh, that's wrong. He's Australian. He can't even speak English, Subsequently, it's just so obvious that there's no one other than Mel that could have done justice to that character.
All units come in, please. All units.
Gotcha. Hey, what's the number of your car here?
3 William 56.
3 William 56 en route. God, I love this job.
Roger, 3 William 56, we copy. Police psychology.
Mel's is fantastic. He has a great sense of humor, manic, crazy energy, funny, smart, not what you're used to for a conventional movie star at that time.
I wanted Mel very much to play the lead role in a picture called Lady Hawk, and he turned me down.
Oh, no, I didn't. I was just busy, man.
No, you're a rat. And
But I turned him down.
So we spent a lot of time talking about that, and then this came up, and I knew I could get him cheap.
And believe me, I was cheap.
It just seemed right that Mel and Danny were going to work. Mel was just emerging, but clearly headed for stardom, and was the handsomest guy in Hollywood at that time, and very smart.
Danny was far younger than Roger Murtaugh is, but he thought he was such a great performer, such a great actor, he would get the role.
I'm older right now than Danny was when he started Lethal Weapon. That just shows you how much easier it is to be black now.
Yeah, you don't see.
Just look, I don't look as old as Danny Glover did in the first Lethal Weapon. Because my America is just fucking beautiful. America's just amazing now. Look at me.
This is a good story because it's a true story of intolerance. Marion Dougherty said, "Did you see Color Purple?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "What about Danny Glover from Murdoch?" I said, "But he's black." And then I realized what I said, because in the script it didn't say in those days a black person, a white person. They just said a character. And you never assumed, you didn't have the sense to go for the best actor. And
he was imagining himself in the part, you see.
I was hoping.
Danny was a serious activist actor from day one, and Dick was like the perfect kind of guy who could gain their respect and put them together.
But it just attracted me because I thought I needed to do something fun. Not so full of angst. I needed to do something fun and something that had wit and had a heart, and you know, and this had all that for me.
You know anything about boats?
I don't know how much they cost.
No, I mean, can you sail this thing?
What's wrong with you? It's not a sailboat.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, there's no trick to it. You know, that's the front, that's the back. Water all around. You know, why you gotta make things so complicated? Shit. And I think you did something amazing. Sometimes we make these kind of social statements without trying to make a social statement. Yeah, there was no social statement.
You're right.
The fact that these people were here and building a family, building a relationship, and I think that was the most dynamic thing that I liked about it. Put that in the context of just good action, fun, and all the other things, special effects and all the other things. And then both these men had some sort of special character, something that attracted them to each other, and then they built an extended family.
Those of us who were making the movie just thought it was two really great actors and really sensational stuff. But in that time, somehow it had an importance to somebody, to the world, that there was this black guy and this white guy, and that would add tension to it. And remarkably, there is none of that in the movie. Dick is colorblind, so there is no reference to that at all.
I never thought of it as a race relation at all. When I look at Riggs and Murtaugh, I see father and son. You know, I see, young, a guy that had a kid when he was 17 or something. But it's absolutely father and son. Riggs is his kid.
I love the humor, and that's always a challenge to me. Mel's got a great sense of wit and great command of the English language. He always hears humor. Danny's an incredible reactor to humor. When he laughs, the kind of world lights up. And so I guess if there is a challenge, then it was to keep the humor flowing, and out of that humor comes the compassion and the relationships, and that makes the piece work.
It was a tough script, and it was a real action movie. And by the time Dick came in and started to work on it, it became, not only was it an action movie, but he brought a sense of humor to the movie.
All the kids all like goodbye, because my new partner has a death wish. Fucking life is over.
Just
shut up here. And why are you talking to me anyway? I'm a dead man. Yeah, fuck you looking at a dead man here. Watch. Don't worry. I was driving before you were itching your daddy's pants.
He also was into that sort of plodding, blue-collar type cop, the kind of wisecracking, throwaway gag guys who just sort of wend their way through the plot together.
He understood that the humor, like he did with Superman, would balance with the emotional and thematic parts of it. The family, Danny's family being in jeopardy, the beautiful daughter who Mel is sort of flirting with, the sense of Mel actually being Martin Riggs crazy.
Hey, shoot him! Shoot him!
You're waiting for him to be the lethal weapon, and finally, you see when he's pushed that far, there's no turning back, and you see that you want to just get the fuck out of his way.
Shut up! Shoot him! Shut up! Shoot him! Shut up! Shoot him!
You're straddling that line of something that can have a lot of fun, but also, if you pull out a gun, somebody's going to use it.
It was dark. It was dark then. It was an R-rated film.
I forgot about that.
We
all
made an
about the
R-rated
torture with the kidnaps, suicides, drugs, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And yet, it was hilarious.
Yeah. No, but I mean, we made an R-rated film which became a family film in a strange way.
In a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, and it's also those days, I guess it was a little different.
Yeah.
Dick is from the point of view of it would be a serious scene, and right in the middle of a serious scene, Dick would have the whole cast in hysterics. Joel, on the other hand, is very meticulous and very hardworking and loves action. So Joel comes from the world that guy should hit that guy 14 more times, and that would end that joke.
I think what makes Riggs work is the unorthodox nature of the man. And the thing about him that you're never quite sure what he's going to do next. He's a little odd.
Riggs would run through a burning building to get the bad guy. Danny would go around the building. And that's not to say that, you know, one is more cautious than the other. It's just that, you know, Riggs is a loose cannon.
The stereotype of these movies is, you know, he's crazy and this one's by the book, you know, and well, it's not entirely real. Real is just that I wanted to see the chemistry of two guys who are different but similar enough to recognize in each other qualities they find admirable and not play it as by the numbers and sort of formulaically as a lot of these sort of two-handers today tend to unfold, I think, with the good cop and the, you know, the crazy cop.
And I thought it was interesting because it was in the action kind of genre. And it's now become a cliche, the buddy cop movie.
Exactly.
But it wasn't so much then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was like, but the characters were flawed.
Yeah, they were flawed, but great. That made them great.
Yeah, yeah.
They weren't two-dimensional superhero guys. They were just flawed guys. You know? It was fun, man.
It was a great show.
It was a popcorn muncher, and it had a little heart in it, and it had, although it was like it's considered now a whole genre. I mean, it spawned a whole bunch of other stuff, including like remakes and stuff. But even for its time, it just broke that sort of two-dimensional action hero thing. And
yeah,
you know, it wasn't like you know, the invincible kind of hero. The guy had, and one was like had ideation, you know, thoughts of suicide.
And you couple that with this real guy that we can all identify with, who's got a family and he's got a future and is kind of, you know, not that curious. He's just happy to make his pension and get along. And you put these two guys together, and it was a terrific idea.
There was some kind of normalcy in his life, you know. Kind of reminded me, the relationship particularly that I pulled on was the relationship between my daughter, Mendisa. My relationship. That's the relationship that I pulled on. And like, she'd always just say, Dad, when she was like 8 years, grow up, you know, because I'd always be kidding her and playing with it and everything else and teasing her. Dad, you get on my...
We had this legendary day. We went to Dick Donner's house where we had a reading of the script. And we brought a bunch of actors in to read other parts.
And then we read the script for the first time.
Yeah.
As Danny remembered, on a Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
You had cooked some bangers. You had bangers.
Bangers.
Oh,
There's
some bangers.
bangers.
Those bangers, man.
Right.
In fact, the first time I had bangers. Tuesday
And Mark
morning.
Canton was here. And
Mark
after
Canton was
we
here.
did the reading, what did he say?
He said, let's go make a movie.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
Let's go make a movie.
Let's go make a movie, yeah.
The thing about Lethal Weapon was the video was so huge that we knew we had a big hit. We had a franchise.
I don't know if we stole them or we just never returned them, but we had like these 4 Betamax movies, and it was Trading Places, Staying Alive. So I know every scene of Staying Alive, right? There's 5 movies: Ragtime, Soldier Story, and Lethal Weapon. So I have seen the first Lethal Weapon, you know, 80, 100 times. Like literally know it back and forth. Maybe not as much as I know Staying Alive, but I know Lethal Weapon.
And what happened is that I was going to say DVD, but of course that didn't exist. The video was enormous. If you check it out, enormous, and it really laid the path for the sequel. The video for those days became so big that by the time we did the second one, it was like a must-see movie.
God, I love this job. Oh, fuck, man! The fucking fucking down!
I wanted to start the second picture in the middle of picture 1.5. Not knowing why, but just come in the middle of this chase.
God damn it, you were right, you know. Yeah, there wasn't enough room.
You were driving
his wife's car.
But I just wanted to come with the action and not tell why.
Dick and Joel really were devoted to making a really good sequel. They knew the pitfalls, they knew that they could fail, so they really tried to make a good story.
The idea was just to, again, broaden the story, make it bigger. And Shane, in fact, did write the sequel. And in the end of his version of the sequel, Martin Riggs died. The writer killed Martin Riggs, which the studio would never go along with because they didn't want to just make one sequel.
The second was set in Latin America. Remember, it was supposed to be set in Latin America.
Really?
Yeah. Then you had the idea of changing it to
L.A.
Cougarans.
Krugerrand.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, Latin American money laundering and drugs and Cougarans.
Right from the very beginning, when I'd sit in these meetings, I would say to Joel, I don't care about drugs anymore. Who cares about that stuff? Every movie is about drugs. Why don't we make it about what drugs are about? Money. And Joel kicked in too. He said, absolutely, we should have piles of money, just hard cash. Dick was part of the conversation wanting to, he said, well, let's do Krugerrands, because he had this hatred for the apartheid. So suddenly, the bad guys are from South Africa. They're laundering money. It literally happened in a half an hour, I think, in Dick's office.
We also had on the fridge,
Yeah.
no to apartheid.
Yeah.
And you can't believe the reaction we got from the public. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds, and maybe thousands of people wrote in. Some pro, some saying, no.
You idiots.
How dare you do that?
How dare you cheapen apartheid with a it's product placement,
Yeah.
Product placement for apartheid. It ain't right.
Product placement. And then that spurred Jeff Bohm to write the second one on apartheid. I learned so much about you two. And the humor. Danny has this incredible ability to hear and listen, and Mel too. Two good actors. And we realized that that's the way we could go on the second one. He wasn't going to kill himself anymore.
Yeah.
And so there was a chance to find out who they really were.
Then we threw Pesci in the mix, which was fuck.
Unbelievable.
You just let him go.
Fuck you at the drive-thru. Fuck you. Hey, fuck you at the drive-thru.
And when he had the bad nose, he used to pull his nose.
Oh yeah, we were torturing him. And it really became then like the Three Stooges. And he became like the Curly character. Having his nose cranked and being slapped around. Two big guys slapping the little guy around. It was like brutal. And there was something funny about it.
Don't hang around with me. Don't hang around.
Get away from me. Slap, smack. Oh, hey, cut it out. And he got really pissed.
It was like a marriage, wasn't it, with the bad child, the teenage kid suddenly coming into the mix. It's like a crazy, bickering family.
You have a good piece of material, and you have good actors, and they're into the characters. You just let them run, let them roam. I mean, I used to get yelled at by the editor all the time because I would talk over the scenes. But it would just be, I'd say some actors you could say, the telephone's ringing in the middle of the scene. I said, what? Telephone's ringing. Oh, you just ruined my scene. But with these guys, you could say, telephone, and they keep going, and all of a sudden, it's like a telephone. And what's the matter? Oh, my dog just died. I mean, it's something, they would run with it.
Yeah.
And create on top of it, and always got better because they were in character.
Gun! Hey, clear, Leo!
You're blocked.
I'm not blocked.
There you're perfect. Okay, once more. Keep rolling.
Okay.
Ready, still.
Gun!
Quiet. This is not funny. This is dailies. Executives see this. Ready, and...
Gun! Hey, Leo, clear! Hey, no, man, not the window. Oh, shit.
Run. Do it again. That's perfect. Keep rolling.
But that's exciting because the chaos of that is like he has a certain energy as a director, and it's like, ooh, he's getting ideas, and he's like yelling them out at you. And it's like, okay, and you get into this mode of just like, that's the style. And his voice was on everything. Because he'd be singing out the whole time we were doing stuff, and we'd be like listening to it and going, okay. And it would be like, it was like improv theater. It was good.
Dick brings out humanity, and it's just not one-line gags and action, and people are talking tough when Danny thinks his number's up. It's a beautiful little moment.
Let's do it.
And it's those little moments that make a big difference in what we call action movies, because they give it humanity, and Dick Scott is very good at that.
Okay. On three. Oh, let me get it into the tub.
I'll never forget that 1, 2. We came up with 1, 2, 3, go when we smashed into the in the window pane.
Yeah,
you know,
1, 2, 3.
We go 1, 2, 3, go, and then we were able to use that in the bathroom scene again.
Yeah, right.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm saying?
We're going on 3, 2, or then we go 3 and then go, and then or we go right on 3, or
yeah.
Did we go on 3, or did we go?
What
did we go
I
on
can't
3,
even
or
remember.
You know,
did we go on go, or did we go on 3? 1, 2, 3, go, or 1, 2, 3?
On three, huh? What do you say?
Okay, yeah.
and then 3, and then go.
Go. No, 3.
No, 3.
And you
And then we're
guys
back. Okay,
brought
1, 2. Wait. Was it after? It's the stupid absurdity of this.
Yeah, but it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It created such a relationship.
Oh,
it was an unwritten
Yeah.
that you guys were inside each other's minds.
I always like to think about the Lethal Weapon movies that the action comes out of the character and it serves the character. So we're not just blowing things up for the sake of blowing them up. And we do blow a lot of things up. We're just working within a really good story and a really good yarn.
Second one was great because they killed the girlfriend. It's like people are like, oh my God, they killed her. I was like, you didn't see this shit in Lethal Weapon?
When the movie really kicks in, is when it gets dark again. His girlfriend dies and he goes on a berserk rampage. And that's, I think, when people start to really love the film. They like that he gets mad again. The more you can make it feel like you're upping the stakes scene by scene towards something that's outrageous and bold. You don't want to be tentative with your set piece. Say, well, it's kind of big and it's sort of, no, if you're gonna do it, you do it. You just slap that slash of wet film across the screen, and say, there's your goddamn set piece, fuck you. It's that feeling.
I have great pictures in my office that Dick sent me, framed of the house being pulled down the hillside wherever we were off of Mulholland. It was like Dick's calling card of saying, look what we're doing, how big it is.
We basically built it in 2 pieces with a big seam in it. Underneath it was all structural steel, and we put that all together with exploding bolts.
We had to put stuff in the house because we knew after it starts breaking apart, you're gonna see stuff. We even put a car in there, and we had a gas line that was just burning afterwards.
After it was built, and us and the construction guys chainsawed the gap in it and weakened everything so that when it went down, it would look really good.
And Matt Sweeney had given us literally a line in the dirt where the house would end up once it tumbled. We knew where everything was going to happen. Everyone was really good at this sort of stuff.
I was up above and I had the nail board to set it off. I'm sitting up there and I go, okay, ready, action, and I go, bing, 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 like this, and I'm watching the house, and it dropped away from my view. I couldn't see it. All I could see was the top of the house. And when it dropped, I just went,
I actually loved the first movie, but I thought the second movie was a greater movie. That again was unique in its time, because we know most sequels suck. They suck, most of them. They just do, And this group of people, again, were so dedicated to the studio and to Dick and each other that Dick made even a greater second movie.
And in the next picture, we had this notion of putting this very tough girl, like a female Riggs, in there. And we looked for a lot of people to do it, and Renee came on the scene and was magnificent and perfect.
Dick Donner really didn't want to see me because he thought, well, he didn't know me. I've got kind of a modeling background. He heard, what is she, a model? Who is she? And they kind of needed a tough girl. And look, I'm from the wrong side of the tracks. I knew I could do it. I knew if there was anyone that could have a gun and point it and say, get on that effing floor, it could be me. I knew that. So I was lucky to get the interview in the first place. Sucked the first interview, asked to go back in. They were gonna let me know when it would be, and then they called me at the last minute, and I freaked out. I said, no, I can't go now, I'm not prepared, I haven't even studied. You know, it was the next day. They said, no, come on in, and when I walked in, Mel was there. Just like, you gotta be kidding. I didn't have a chance to really look it over again, and there he was. But you know what? They were so gracious, and Mel is so easy. It was great.
How you doing? This is Renee, everybody.
Hi.
How you doing, honey?
Honey?
Yeah.
Did you call me honey?
Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. Sorry. Oh, God.
My name is Renee.
Oh, okay, I'll remember in the future. Oh. Well, she's a 90s woman, I guess.
I think in that interview, I guess there was a certain sort of equality, and I was pretty hard on him and pretty tough. And I think that he saw that, and he saw the humor, and he said, okay, let's go. And I thought, oh my God, it was fantastic. But it was just hell getting there. I thought I would die.
Do you remember that? She had to read something off about guns, and it was her first take in the movie, and we broke the poor girl's back, but she was great.
Yeah.
Those guys from the garage, they're all ex-paroles. Oh my God, what is why? They're all what?
They're ex-parents. They're all expatriates with...
Come on, it's okay, can we go? Okay.
All right, ready, settle in.
Okay, here we go.
She was out late last night.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, were you?
No, I wasn't.
She knew you were out too late.
It always happens with one scene, usually in a film. You just don't remember the lines. It's just like the hell scene. And so the second day I had the hell scene, and I died. I thought, oh my God, they gave me this chance. I can't even remember my lines. But you know, again, they're so easy. And I think Dick Donner knows how to get a good performance. He doesn't want to make you more uptight, so he'd laugh. But I'm thinking, yeah, you're laughing, but you got to be looking at your watch.
All right, kids, come on, thump the chest, thump the chest. Let's hear it, get it up. Let me hear it. I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
My favorite scene, maybe my favorite scene ever, was the scar scene that I did with Mel Gibson, where we showed each other our scars, like my scars, you know, bigger and better than yours, and I put myself at risk and blah, blah, blah. That scene was amazing.
That's amazing.
Look.
Go on.
Bump action 12 gauge.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Not very close, though.
Well, we've got to be closer, I'd be dead.
Hey, I'm not complaining, but I can beat it. I can beat it. I can.
I'm sorry.
Keep rolling, keep rolling. Don't argue. Ready, action.
Really?
You know, it was just one of those magical days. It just worked. And then, of course, when I kicked his feet out from under him and threw him on the ground and got on top of him, that was a fun day. That was a good day. He's a really good kisser.
You know, I don't know. I never made it with a sergeant before.
Oh, wait, Mel, there may be an ethical breach here.
An ethical breach.
I think that's why the movies were so good. Everybody kind of played themselves. Even a guy like Pesci was like, Pesci off screen was not that different than Pesci on screen. I mean, he wasn't annoying like that, like he was in the movie, but that guy walks in a room and just starts cracking everybody the fuck up.
Know your lines.
I said them right.
They're out of order.
Oh, really?
Good. That's right.
If I had my way, I'd shit on you all day. In Russian, that means I love you. Hey! Spit on ya, spit on ya, spit on ya.
And sometimes it's a problem getting everyone back together.
Yeah.
They either don't want to do another sequel or they don't want to work with each other. In this case, it was just a matter of everyone wanted to work back together again and or add another character or two from time to time.
This series of movies was fun. I mean, not only were they good, fun to watch, but they were fun to do.
Help Danny down, wait, because he's stuck up there.
They were throwing out all these different locations that what we could do at this location, and the stick house, you know, the unbuilt housing area up in Lancaster was there, and I said, well, you know, we could light the place on fire and run the car through here and do all this, and that kind of became the ending.
We were able to just make it breakaway, and we set it all up to burn and burn day after day after day.
What Joel could do was whatever Dick wanted or needed, he made it happen. That's what's Joel's great facility as a producer. He saw he was always trying to make it bigger and more entertaining, you know, larger. You know, it was bigger is better. And Joel facilitated all of that. And Dick was allowed Dick to come up with crazy ideas, and Joel would go with them.
And when they get just past that, gas bombs on the first floor. Second night, Wednesday night, I start them about here. Just past that, we trigger everything again, but now do the whole building with gas bombs.
Things happen. On Lethal 3, we got a letter in the mail that there was this, you know, they were going to blow up this building, the city hall in Orlando, Florida. You know, did we want to participate in that demolition? And we were talking about what to do with it, and we thought, well, it's pretty obvious to end the movie. Why don't we open the movie? I mean, we're always coming up with stuff like that.
Running out of that building this morning. Oh man, that was so exhilarating, man.
Are you kidding?
Get the cat.
Yeah, but we knew the blow was coming.
We knew the blow was coming. We were hauling ass.
We were moving pretty fast. And
I had the trigger.
It was funny because we knew that sucker was a 7-story building was coming down, and it took this family of people called the Oiseau brothers or the Oiseau family.
Right. Yeah.
And their whole thing was building demolition of old buildings.
They were all dynamite guys. And what Dick needed, he needed a bunch of flame coming out and, you know, looking like a movie explosion, not like a real explosion. So we went out there. I sent my good friend John Ballou out there to gaff the rigging on that. And we rigged the first 3 floors, every window, with gasoline bombs and stuff to blow the windows out. And it really worked good.
The fire is always good because the fire is always a little bit out of control. And everybody loves fire, no? I mean, who doesn't? And I was like, I have to say that for fire to be made a visual film, you need a lot.
So our challenge, and like it's always been, is, you know, you only do enough to fill the screen and you don't hide the action. And then on the final night, we had Mel and Danny right across the street from this building, crouched behind a Crown Vic, looking at it. Some of the cameras were shooting over their heads at that, and the controlled demolition guys were in their wiring loom out, and we had tied our firing loom into theirs using time delay deaths.
And it's going to go action, diaphragm, fire,
Building.
bang, motion.
Perfect.
So, was it what you thought?
I was totally satisfied. It was an orgy of destruction. It was the best. It was the biggest we've done.
You know, it's like a really childhood dream that comes alive. And now the moment you see all that noise, I love the noise of those big sets, like screaming, yelling, and explosion, and helicopters, and then it's over, and it's all quiet again. I love those adrenaline thrills that you get when it all happens. It's really very exciting.
It's unique, it's fun, it's special, and more important, it's a delight to come to work with these guys. We have very much the same crew. Everybody, it's a big family.
They do 110% because they know that what they're doing is not in vain, and they're unselfish about it. And he depends on them, and they all have a job, and he takes it, and he uses it just the right way.
It's probably the only series we had that had such a continuity between the cast and the producer and the director.
And that's why he knows everybody so well, so personal, and has personal relationships with them. And therefore, I think he gets anything done he wants, you know, and very quickly.
Okay, all you guys that are behind the semi on this shot, do not pass the semi under any circumstance.
You know everybody's idiosyncrasies, their strengths, their weaknesses, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. So it all works together, and that's the only way we were able to pull off these wild things.
I know Dick from the streets of San Francisco and way back on Kojak days, and I did a lot of stuff with him, so he's just a pleasure to work with. And as far as action, he just knows where to put the camera. You know, he can choreograph everything. He'll come up with the idea. He's a great eye. So me as a coordinator, and I choreograph all the action, I know that he's going to put the camera in the right place.
Right? That angle is what it's going to come out off at. Okay. So here's your line. It's right down.
Well, I'd say, so you think it'll come just that side of the pulley, right?
It's going to come right centered over the pulley.
That was before CGI.
And you know what?
I like it
I
better.
liked it better.
Me too.
I can't. I'm not a guy that doing the physical action. You act the reality of it. When it's CGI, you're acting on top of acting.
I want to see that slide, so if you throw it a little sooner, I got that fucking slide in this camera, see? I see that, and now I got time to do the truck, and whang, and I'm around the truck. Okay. So play the fucking beats. See this camera here, and play those beats. If you get that slide going, this camera picks that up. Now I got you, see it? I'm looking into the camera now. I come around you, there's a truck. Play the beats, man.
But we did some stupid things. He was always doing. You had to you couldn't turn your back on him.
But we had stunt guys, you know. It was all safe. It was safe.
Bullshit. When you drove the motorcycle through yes, just before the crash, and it was the smoke on the freeway.
Yeah.
And
I was only doing 10 miles an hour. So.
No, still on a big Harley.
Yeah,
and I thought it was the stuntman. But these two had decided that he was going to do it. And as we're rolling, and I look up and I saw you coming through so I almost wanted, like a father with a kid on a little bike.
Get off!
I wanted to run out and grab this Harley coming at me.
Mel's a big offender of like practical jokes. When we were riding back on the motorcycle, I rode up beside him. He was on the trailer, his bike, and we started doing a fight and stuff. He actually, was going to transfer over. It could have got a little Western.
After Lethal Weapon 3, we had this luncheon to celebrate the success. And then at the end, we took out an envelope and threw it on the table with 7 keys in it. And outside, we closed the blinds. We had Range Rover dealer come in and have 7 different Range Rovers with different colors in there.
And there was Joe Pesci and Danny and Mel. You know, I'm just like, oh, these must be for the boys. So I didn't take a key. Everyone was taking a key, and then I think it was Bob Dahlia said, well, Renee, pick a key. I'm like, I'm getting a car?
I think that helped us down the line get Lethal Weapon 4, which turned out to be, for an investment of $320,000 for Range Rovers, we made over $150 million on the next movie. And because we kept them as a family.
I've been warming them. See, they weren't cold when you put them in, were they? Nope. That's a lot of fun. Jim! No, I like the feel of cold steel.
Have you learned about reverse yet?
Yeah.
No. Hey, Benji, man. Like, you know, when in doubt, gas it.
I was a young stunt coordinator doing stuff, and a friend of mine, or a mentor of mine actually, Bobby Bass, called me one day and wanted me to take a pause and come work with him and double an actor who'd just come up from Australia, who was very big and had done one big action show and he felt was as he said, this is going to be a great move for you. You need to meet this guy and be his double. And it was Mel Gibson.
We need to pick up one here coming into the lens. Wide, really wide, 17. Exactly.
Well, I notoriously shot Cotton Club for Coppola. I wasn't in the union, and I was trying to get in, of course. And you couldn't work unless you were in the union. It wasn't easy to get in. And Lethal was bubbling around, and I got an interview with Dick, and we just got on like a house on fire. Really, and with Mike Reaver, who was there. Dick just said, I wanted Stephen, and he wanted me in the union, and they got me in.
We're here with Ferd Henry. Ferd,
I've been here for 15 days and I've never seen a movie being shot before.
Ferd here sells used furniture back in Oklahoma. He has a couple of reptile farms in Arizona, and he's made it out west to break into business.
I got a two-headed alligator.
I first met Dick outside of Amblin. They were interviewing production designers for a big kids movie called Goonies, and we talked about it for 5 or 10 minutes, and I said, well, he was called in, and shortly thereafter I was called in, and it was the same guy. It was Dick Donner. So we hit it off right at the beginning and went through Goonies and had a terrific time. And then he called me up to do this small little kind of police thriller, which had very little money, and so we started talking about it, and he asked me to do it.
And I thought it was pretty cool that here we are in LA doing a Christmas movie. Just the idea of it was just fresh and unique.
Remember, we almost got killed by everybody.
Yeah.
We put the
jingle bells.
We put the Christmas decorations up on Hollywood Boulevard before Thanksgiving, and
confused everyone.
Everybody got upset with the city.
People started having acid flashbacks.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because it was a story about 2 LA cops. Where else can you shoot it? And
Toronto.
Yeah. They didn't have that building to jump off of. It was indigenous to what the script was, and it was a sin to even think about moving.
What we embraced was this kind of 60s way of dealing with this stuff. Use as many real locations as possible. Don't wait for the light to be beautiful. Just shoot it. It is LA, and LA looks great when it's from overhead light, And I think that informed the whole process. Every department, it kind of kept it out. It was very difficult to try and pull off, but Dick insisted that we do it, and we did. We figured out how to do it.
I'd never seen LA depicted, really, in a thriller movie where you just got to see the various sights and sounds. You get all of Mulholland and the basin of Los Angeles as seen from Dick's house. You got thriller with a chase on Hollywood Boulevard at the end. I hadn't seen that.
There's a bleakness to it. There's an impersonality to it. There's a, as I said, there's a brightness to it, which I love. Feels like you can do anything in Los Angeles. It's a little different than New York, which has more texture and more neighborhoody stuff. LA is kind of this blank canvas, and it's great to go out and try and find interesting locations.
That was Long Beach.
Yeah, you're right.
Wasn't it where we that girl went out the window?
Yeah, you can't trust air you can't see.
That camera shot.
Oh, we were so lucky. We had a camera rolling on that. She was a nice girl. I'm so
Yeah, too
sorry.
bad, yeah.
We
I would have liked to have gotten to know her.
Me too.
Not in a biblical way.
No,
but,
just it was just hi. Gosh, these are flashbacks.
Boy, aren't they?
Yeah.
We kicked off with this idea of the girl's fall, and that began it, really, because it was an adventurous way to open the film.
This was before digital effects and visual effects. And so early on, Stephen Goldblatt and I had discussed that we would try and get this wonderful kind of floating death as opposed to this violent thing, which is so much easier to do.
Then we thought, well, what if we could get the same girl we've just seen climb out on the balcony, fall past the lens to the car below. And so we used an old trick.
We picked a location and we looked down at night at the location to see what it was. And we took a photograph of one car down there. And then I went back to the studio and I had these great guys at Warner Brothers, Ed Strang and his father. They painted us this beautiful backing out of canvas that was exactly that picture. And we stretched it across a big airbag.
This is the first movie for me where it was kind of like the gloves are off and you could kind of experiment. If we said, hey, we need a 60-foot cherry picker to teach this girl how to fall into an airbag, which would have, on other movies, would have been like, actresses aren't doing any of that stuff. You know, we'll throw a dummy. It's like all the filmmakers, Donner, Joel Silver, everybody was like, we have faith in you guys. Let's push the envelope here, and that's what we did.
She would hold on to these wires and then let go and fall away from us into this bag. And they taught the actual person how to do it because we didn't do face replacement and all that stuff.
She just went past two lenses and just fell towards what looked like a car on the sidewalk.
And we did it in slow motion, and you can just see it, her gown flutters as she goes down.
And then as her back just touched the painting, that cuts inside, and you have a ram just pushes the metal down. And it's a shocking moment. It's an interesting sequence.
And I got the backing of Dick Donner. If we wanted to change something because of safety concerns, he never had a problem with it. He knew how to reshoot or what he was going to use editorially.
You know, working these big movies, man, you got to be like a general, man. You got to, not only do you have to know what you're doing artistically, you have to be a leader of men. You're like Russell Crowe in Gladiator. Donner knew exactly what he was doing, man.
Everybody listen, because this will be the countdown. Shut up! Hey! Listen up! My department? My guild? Okay, Danny gets shot, right? Danny lobs the grenade. As soon as he lobs the grenade, I'm sorry, you're right. Danny lobs the grenade, turns around, fires, bang, takes him. You've got grenade, he's running inside. Danny's ducking here, right?
Well, Donner has this thing over his door when you go into his office, and it says, leave your ego at the door.
And Mel wrote on it, yeah, because there's so much inside already.
No.
I still have that.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Because there's a big one in there already.
Oh, yeah.
Something I
didn't want to brag.
But no, that's the truth. And you say, as the director of this film, and he says, I'm just a traffic cop, but that's bullshit. He actually fucking orchestrates the stuff, and, he's being too modest.
Go. Roll cameras, action. Camera? How was that? Huh? Cut it. How was that?
It was okay. Not very good.
I'm not watching. What happened?
We lost it.
Let me see it. Let me see it played back. Not bad.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Quite interesting. What are you talking about? It's great.
Yeah. How was B camera?
B camera, did you get anything?
What do you have?
B, what did you get?
B camera said
Okay, sir.
And they got the man on the ground?
I took Mick coming up, running, jumping on the hood, getting shot and rolling off.
And you got him on the ground?
Yes, on the ground.
You're sensational. We got it here for a crazy shot. My back just went.
He sets a tone, which I think is what the main job of a director do. He knows what the picture he's trying to make, and he sets that tone. The dangerous thing comes when the tone sort of wobbles all over the place, and then you're not sure what the movie's about, but Dick knows what it's about.
I read tons of cop novels, man. I love those characters, those plotters, not the sophisticated, bon vivants, but the guys who just beat the feet, do the legwork, hit the pavement, and solve these crimes. Those were the characters I wanted to capture. I love the French connection for that, the sense of every day, the sense of the blue-collar cop. And to get a pulse and a humanity to it that doesn't come from the Rambo character, where everything is already so heightened and stylized. I like the simple guy.
You know, and it's all Shane Black.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea. I read a script, and it was like, let's go shoot it. Yeah. It was perfect. I mean, these guys did a little improv, but it just came out of character, and things happen.
Without big lead, if not very even game. Cut!
When you're playing a depressed character, there's a lot of brooding that goes on, but what people don't get about suicide, depression, things like that, there's a manic quality, a sort of bring it on quality, where, as they're sticking the knife in, they're grinning, saying, what are you going to do about it?
Hey, okay, clown. It was a conscious decision to make Riggs as isolated from the world as possible in every facet of the design. The motorhome seemed appropriate. The place where he was living seemed appropriate. It was a forgettable location. Costumes, props, everything else was not important to him. Everything about Riggs was temporary. He was only here for a few more weeks, frankly. If Murtaugh hadn't come into his life, we all felt that he would have offed himself. In fact, in the first few minutes, you see him about to kill himself.
We had that scene to shoot, and it was in a trailer. It was Mel's trailer. And then the evening we went to shoot it, it just wasn't happening. Just you weren't pleased with it, so...
But you know what it was? It was written as pills.
Was it?
It was written as he takes a handful of pills. I said, a cop doesn't kill himself with sleeping pills. Cops are like, they use the service revolver, man. Yeah. That's what a cop does. And I remember we switched it over and said, let's just, try it with a service weapon,
Which was a great scene. But anyway, we carried that piece of the trailer. We cut it off. And great prop man.
Oh, Eric.
Eric Nelson.
Eric Nelson.
Great guy. And every evening around 5 o'clock, he'd say, I think Mr. Gibson would like to do the scene in the trailer. Because they were carrying it around wherever we went on the back of trucks. So one day, I said, he'll let us know. And sure enough, one day Mel said to me, hey, you got that?
Where's that trailer?
Trailer? I said, yeah. I said, bang. And the guys had it set up and ready to go. We went to that trailer. It was just the operator and myself.
And a car.
Mel did this scene with the gun.
Yeah.
The camera was shaking because I'm crying, the operator's crying. And I started to get worried about Mel because he had the gun in his hand and he was
it wasn't loaded.
Going like, no, but you hit yourself with it.
Oh, right.
And this was after the take was really over. I couldn't take it anymore, so I just ran in, pulled it out of his hand, and
that's enough.
And held him because I thought, and then he just looked at me and laughed. He said, how was that?
Well, I don't think you can really do anything like, do stuff like that unless you're absolutely happy doing it. There's a kind of a joy underneath and a relaxation with letting something like that just happen that that is our supposed sphere of expertise. So it's like it's a good feeling. I was perfectly happy. I mean, it looks like I'm like, but like inside I'm like laughing.
Danny brought that grounding to the movie, that human quality. Mel could be a little over the top, and Danny would ground it. He was us in the movie reacting to this other character saying, oh my God, I can't, please, not on the ledge, no. I mean, that's what was so great about his characters. He, in a sense, was the audience reacting.
The more contrast we could get between the two of them, the better for us. Murtaugh's life is a cacophony of texture and people in various stages of growing up in the family.
Because the family was still evolving.
Yeah.
Your children were growing and they were starting to be individuals. Everything. And your house. Do you remember you were tearing your kitchen apart?
Yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't walking into a set that everything was perfect.
Yeah.
I think Reva came up with that, and it was brilliant that they're on the move. They're evolving.
Yeah.
He's changing the kitchen, but he's never there to do it.
The respect that Dick showed me as a writer was considerable, and it included saying, yeah, they're going to maybe improvise a little bit here, but, you know, he'd make sure that it was okay, you know. He wanted me to be comfortable with what was going on.
Often, not to pat ourselves on the back, but people are always trying to imitate what happened.
Yeah.
And what happened organically, what happened at a particular point in time when people were able to embrace the kind of relationships, embrace these characters, these two people, and have fun with them, and have some. And we came into people's homes, so people felt as if they got to know us in a different way.
You know, there's no way I'm going to jump off an 11-story building into a little bag that looks like a postage stamp down there. I mean, come on. That's an act of an insane person or someone who has managed to condition their minds through time and exercise into making it not an insane action. Like Mickey is probably one of the most sane people I've met.
I loved having breakfast at a place in Santa Monica, and above it is a carpet showroom, and it's this white building against blue skies. And I took Mike and I took Dick there to say, wouldn't it be great if we did the suicide walk back here? We can actually, you know, we can rig a lumicrane on the roof. We can go right over. We can see the street below. We can see Hollywood all around. And then, you know, for close-ups, we can easily build a parapet.
Just in terms of story, you know, that a guy'd be crazy enough to handcuff the jumper and then drag him off the roof. That's a Donner thing, you know, like, let's go for it, you know. And the fact that he turns to a stunt coordinator like Bobby Bass says, how do we do that? I mean, it was a big deal. And Bass was just like, no, it's totally, nothing was a problem. We just needed a little time to figure it out.
Just jump.
Ready.
Just jump, eh?
Ready. You're in it.
Oh,
give me a little lead up.
Yeah. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Stick it in your hand.
Look. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Come on. Wait.
Well, you know, Dar Robinson was the premier high fall guy in the business. So it made sense that Bobby would call him to, you know, help us with the high fall. So we get there on the day and we're going to do the high fall, you know, it's 110 feet. We're going to be handcuffed together, you know. And so we're standing on the roof and we're talking about something. And the breeze came up Santa Monica and hit us. And it ran down the building and picked the airbag up and moved it out in the street about like 30, 40 feet in like a second. And I looked at him and he kind of went, I go, well, I'm not a, math whiz, but technically we could step off this building and that thing move before we hit the ground. He goes, oh, this is not good. And it was a windy day. And we're getting ready to do this thing. So we get like 30, 40 grips. And we have to wardrobe them because they're going to be in the shot like a fireman and stuff. And they're all just trapped the airbag next to the building. And so, when we did this fall, I was like thankful to get it done, that it didn't leave before we actually hit it.
Want to go up again? Let's go again.
We did everything for real. We did the 110-foot high fall. We crashed cars. We did fights for real. No wire work.
We have a stunt here to do with a bus and a car involvement. The bus being the towed vehicle to pull the car into the bus itself, the bus being the towed vehicle to create an accident on Hollywood Boulevard in this fashion here with cables. Point of impact, hopefully the car will flip over on its backside, and that should be a cut at that point.
I see where it is. We got it.
Special
effects.
Who's special effects?
Joe.
Joey.
On that side, when he gets hit, are those windows going to break, do you think? Right there, those 2 car windows, door windows.
Well, I can't say they will. I can say they won't. If that bus is into this part of it right here, they probably will.
They'll break.
If they're rolled down a little, they'll probably break easier.
We do about 3 times. We make slow runs at it just to make sure that we're tuned in with the cables and that the cable's nice and tight so it doesn't make perfect contact with the ramp.
You already Monday night made a bunch of tests. That was Sunday night,
made
a bunch of tests.
And we'll do it again. Then you're going to see the real thing.
You got him, Mark! Background action!
Say hello, Bobby, say hello. This is Bobby Bass. Say hello, Bobby. Bobby's been ducking the cops for a long time.
Bobby Bass came on early, and we had all sorts of discussions about the prowess and the stuff that Riggs brought to the table as a guy holding a gun.
Bobby introduced Mel into, like, you know, he showed him like sniper work. Then he introduced him to a friend of his, like his partner David Webster was an excellent sniper. And so they had to see that a 1,000-yard shot was fully capable. They used to do this demonstration thing at their training facility where Bob would stand with a little stick, you know, a 3-foot long, 1-inch wide stick, and hold it up to like the students that they were training. And all of a sudden it would explode. And it was David Webster who would shoot the stick from like 800 yards away just to prove that they could do it. So once you see that for real, you go, okay, now Mel can believe it, and he can actually play the scene much better because he can believe that he can actually drop a guy from 1,000 yards with not a problem.
Bingo.
He was so economical in his movements, and he was, I mean, you felt like you were watching a gunslinger. You felt like you're watching a guy who was very calm, but at any moment he was prepared to do something, you know, to break out.
Have a small gun, will not travel. Let him come to me. Yeah, that's when you know the guy's bad. Let him come to me. I'll be here waiting.
Remember Busey? He may be one of the physically strongest dudes I've ever met.
In the fight?
No, but just physically a powerful man.
Oh, yes.
And it was like, it was hard, man. He'd like, you know, you always connect in fight scenes and stuff a little bit. Sometimes you get like, sometimes you get nailed. You didn't want to get up after this guy got you. And he wasn't doing it on purpose or anything, but it was just like, oops, sorry, man. And it was like, oh, that's okay. Take you a little while to come back.
Shane and I worked the fight out with Bobby Bass for like 3 weeks. And then we started incorporating Mel Gibson and Busey into the mix.
I block here.
No.
You go boom, boom, boom.
We'd pull them out of scenes whenever they had time. They had to come over and learn aspects of the fight in chunks. But we never let them train together, just for safety's sake.
The way we have it broken down, we'll be able to do 10 seconds, 15 at the most.
How long do you think the fight lasts? 3 minutes.
You said you wanted 3 minutes.
Got 3 minutes. I figure you're gonna do it all the way through. One.
And one.
You guys will be exhausted at the end of it. That's what it should be.
Yeah, but every now and then you just
You'll do it perfect. You'll do it. I know. In one. Don't you feel better doing it in one? The continuity of it.
Yeah, but
I knew it.
We were given, you know, judo expert, jailhouse rock expert, and capoeira expert to try and incorporate this stuff in there. And I already knew some kendo stuff, which we used mostly with the nightstick and the light pole and that type of thing.
And they'd work this fight, and it was choreographed, perfect. Every move, everything. And then the night we went to shoot it, it went all to hell.
Night?
It just
took a week.
Happened, but I mean, it just happened. You guys forgot the choreography.
Yeah.
But you had learned all those moves.
Yeah.
And it became totally animalistic, totally survival of the fittest.
Yeah, just something else. Yeah.
Oh,
it was interesting.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was fun.
Really great fight.
And I was worried about him because he's stripped to the waist and he's blue with cold and teeth chattering. I thought he'd get hypothermia. I said, "You all right, Mel?" He says, "I'll do anything for $1 million." And he meant it. He really wanted to do this well. That helps everybody.
It takes years to become really proficient at that stuff. But hey, fortunately we had a good director and a good editor who knew what pieces to shoot so he could slap it together and make it look like we knew what we were doing.
Stuart Baird, the maestro editor,
Yeah.
and he saves all our careers.
You had the light swirling around from the spotlights. That was a great visual idea, and I cut the hell out of that. I really made it as long as I possibly could. And she was so generous to allowing me to do my thing and present it when I was ready, and that's the way I liked it, and and it seemed to work for us.
And I think the tone of it speaks everything about Dick, smart, profound, funny, and gifted.
Hey, you want to see crazy? I'll tell you.
That's all Donner. I mean, it had that kind of wit and some funny twists and turns and unexpected things happening, and it was a real charming piece of work to watch.
And then raw too. I mean, that scene after he jumps off that building, after Mel jumps off that building, is real raw. I mean, it's just raw. You know what I'm saying? It's just
the confrontation between
the
you
confrontation.
two in that,
yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dick always wanted that darkness, that suicidal part in it, but he was making a commercial movie, and Dick knows how to make commercial movies.
What's not to like about the experience of having watched great actors in their prime, do the stuff that I'd read and dreamed about since I was a kid, enacting and embodying these detective novels that I devoured when I was 8 years old. It was like watching my dreams.
We all work for the audience. No matter what you do, it's a team sport. You go to work, the audience tells you if you did a good job or not.
What I was most affected by was that the audience seemed to be indiscriminate. It wasn't just a guy's movie or a chick movie or anything, that they all went in and dug it at some level and got into the characters, and that they rolled with it and experienced the humor in it.
You never have a movie open and then it goes up the second weekend. Never. I mean, yes, you can add theaters, you can sometimes, but we open the movie 3-7 and the next weekend 4-1. So people responded to the movie.
This really started off more as an action picture, started to pick up a lot of comedic tones to it, which made it for women, for men, for young people, for older people, for everybody.
The only reason that picture worked is the people. You care about them, you fall in love with them, you're pained with them as they are with each other, and you want to see them make it.
Why don't you try it?
It was funny when it had to be, but it wasn't like trying to be funny. Mel was incredible. Danny was incredible. You just loved him to death. The daughter was kind of hot. What do you want in a movie? What do you want? Friday night. What's better than Lethal Weapon?
The curse of Hollywood is not that 97% of the time everything sucks, which is true, or 97% of the time it goes poorly, your script gets messed, your ideas get twisted, tangled, suppressed, excised. It's not that your actors hate you, everything goes wrong, you can't get a job. 97% of the time, that's not it. The curse of Hollywood is that the 3% of the time when it's good, it is so good.
Mel was a huge star who could pick any movie he wanted to do. And most directors and stars especially, they don't want to do sequel number 4. Most of them, it's hard to get them to do sequel number 3. So it took us a while, but they came back and did another one.
And we were having lunch one day, and he leaned over and he said, "Do you want to do Lethal 4?" And I thought, oh my God, this is great.
Turn around. He's turning.
And I do believe the Range Rovers helped, making them feel equal. It was sort of a democratic, everybody got it, and they all got the same thing, and they shared an experience. And I think they liked that.
We'll see it hit. Okay. We're gonna trip it just as you get here. And you gotta really run. Go! Go, guys, go! Go, goddammit!
We just did one. And then that happened to be 2 after that. And it happened to be 3. Again, it was just familiar, and it grew and it evolved, and it happened. I think if we hadn't all cared about it, we would have walked away. Would we do it today? I don't think you'd think about it.
No, you don't.
Do an individual story. If the characters live and they're that great and they lend into that, maybe there's a sequel.
Just one of those pictures where you were going to be prepping and writing next week's work. Let's not worry yet about 3 weeks from now. You know, that seems like a lifetime from now. But we were always just kind of staying one step ahead of the line.
The meetings in Dick's office became these moments of extreme exuberance. We'd all be jumping up and down with ideas and stuff and what we could do, and yeah, we'll do this and do that. We were all like excited.
Guys, we're going for a full markup. This will be picture, everybody. Picture up.
When he comes, it's like you didn't see him. So you almost go past halfway through and then stop, catch him.
It was kind of scary. I mean, we'd eventually get pages. You know, we never actually had no pages.
He's a maximum!
I ran upstairs, the guys shooting up guns, did people. It's the old cop talking. Or he pumps in your head, You just comes out talking. Okay? Huh? Okay, here we go.
There's a scene up to the fire. We actually filmed all that scene, locked that. We were filming it almost in a chronological order. We locked the movie at that point, finished cutting it, actually scored it and dubbed it, and we kept on shooting. We had scenes that were being dubbed, finished, as we were still shooting the movie. It was wild.
That's another thing about the whole family atmosphere, because, you know, you'll never find better people that'll dive in. I mean, everybody would get involved, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And I must say, Dick worked tirelessly on the film because, you know, he was really up against it the whole time.
That doesn't feel good.
Mel just pulled a hamstring. If we're lucky, he'll be ready for the playoffs.
Oh, he jumped the guard too. You jumped the guard too.
Lethal 4 was exactly the same. Same people, same thing, fun, wonderful, Dick Donner laughing. I mean, on the set, that's what you heard, Dick Donner laughing.
Donner, just try it. Donner?
Come on out, Dick. We got it. Jesus, he made it up there fast.
Donner, just come on out. Come on, Dick, just try it. We'll see how it looks.
Yeah, push. Hey, first of all,
Get underneath me, I will.
push both out. All right?
It was a cool, amazing experience. It was my first time I had a real part in a mega movie. And I knew Eddie, so I'd been on sets of big movies, but I never, had a big trailer and, all the accoutrements that go with, my own hair and makeup and all this stuff. And I never had any of that stuff before. And everybody was really nice, I gotta say. Normally you do a movie, they try to let you know that you're their first choice and we don't want anybody but you, and we personally love what you do. Joe Silver told me they tested a bunch of names on a poster. like literally like a focus group. We tested you and the other hot black comics, and you tested highest.
Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Man, brother, man! Killing me, man! I got the right to remain silent, all right? That's your only right.
So I figured I'd robbed somebody, or I was the idiot that had the microchip in his shoe or something, I don't know. I don't know, I would have took whatever they gave me. But I'm a cop, I'm in the car with those guys, get out of here. I just remember being very nervous. I remember too, you know what, I gotta say, Dick Donner really, really helped me, look like a cop as much as I could. If I wasn't sitting right or doing whatever, he stopped everything. Okay, pick up the gun again.
Try and talk, because every time you say something.
I hate
Try and say something. But listen,
shut up,
don't you tell me what to do.
Shut up! Can we all get along?
You got
fucking running. Police brutality! Fucking car next time.
Okay, all right. It's only a 2-hour movie. Come on back.
It went by so fast. Like, you're gonna be in Lethal Weapon? You know, if they told me I was going to the moon, that would seem more believable. It's like, I'm gonna be in Lethal Weapon? Get the fuck out of here.
You get somebody like Jet Li who moves at like the hyperspace, and our audiences here don't really, he'll for 15 punches, we won't see it. So we have to kind of like learn how to film that so our audiences will understand it.
Hey, ready and action.
Then the fourth one was Jet Li.
Oh, Jet Li.
That guy was something else. That was hard, man.
Do you know that we had to actually ask him to slow down?
He had to slow down.
You couldn't catch it on film.
Not only could you not catch it on
but you
film,
couldn't react.
He's pummeling me like a punching me. Flip it, dip it, flip it. He's doing this stuff, and you got to be reacting to all these hits. But I couldn't see what he was doing because I was flying all around and reacting, but he was moving so fast that I had to react to stuff that I didn't know when it was coming because it was happening too fast. I couldn't react fast enough for what he was doing to me.
It's okay when it's in slow motion. When he gets into full speed, I'm screwed.
So we had to ask him to slow down. I had to memorize what he did and just do it as fast as I could because I didn't know when it was coming.
I mean, action movies take forever. Every explosion is like, you spend half the time in your trailer. You're just waiting for shit to happen. But whenever Jet Li did anything, everybody was just watching like it was a basketball game or something.
Do one across him, because it's great. But then do one inside of it, because it may jump him left to right all the time. Yes, good.
Do you want to do them separate so you get
Separate cameras. Use that one. Here we go. Ready? All right, and. Ready, and. Rolling. Action? No. Oh.
Oh God, this was funny. So I have to come out of a door and Jet Li has to kick me in the face and come this far from my nose. And I thought, okay, I know this guy's a master, but Jesus.
I'm scared! That's okay. Just come on, take it in the chops.
Oh, for crying out loud. This is going to be half speed, okay? But now where do I put the gun?
Right there.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Okay, wait. Yeah, I see your foot. Now wait. Okay, I got that part.
You ready, Renee?
Yeah.
D marker.
Okay. Big head snap.
F mark. Second sticks on D
Take your
marker.
time falling down. Can't oversell it.
Set.
Ready? And action. Okay, we're close. Good. Action.
That looks good, man. Where's the bruises on my face for the rest of the movie?
No, it's not your face. Gets you in the back of the head right here.
When you start to put an action sequence together for a Lethal Weapon movie, it takes a lot of collaboration because it's a very special mixture of high-intensity action, but yet with a sense of humor to it, in a way that only Danny Glover, Mel Gibson, and Richard Donner can do it.
There was always a sense of camaraderie and collaboration, so we all could work together and everybody could come up with ideas and thoughts and ideas, and that was what was good about the process.
We had the big freeway sequence to shoot, and they're chasing the bad guys, and this big fight ensues, and it ends up that Mel ends up on a tabletop being drugged behind this thing at 60 miles an hour.
Stupid. I look back at that. No, don't you bullshit.
We're okay.
It was terrible. We
Nobody
were
got
dragging
hurt.
him on that thing. If that thing had broken loose or something, God forbid.
Fred Decker, who was a friend of mine, continued to be a friend of mine, I called him in and I said, give me an idea for something in this chase. He said, well, why don't you have the car leave the freeway, go through a building, and come back on the freeway. So we said, okay. So we did it. I mean, we were looking for everyone to come up with ideas to do stuff. And, and we did it. And again, no CGI.
They don't do that anymore. They use a computer now. It looks so phony. I mean, I still love that stuff. I wish there were more of it.
These movies were the last of the stunt and special effects, complete cooperation movies without a lot of visual effects.
When we hit those cars with trains on Lethal 4, that's Matt Sweeney and me shooting second unit. Those are real cars with real trains.
What we did is we put a big plate on the front of the locomotive with big, huge spikes on it, so that when it actually hit the car, it would grab the car and take and then run down the tracks with it.
It's not CGI. It's Matt and his crazy special effects rigs and the things that he comes up with. It's like they just don't do it that way anymore, and that's fine. It's great, but no, even diehards, using the special effects cars, we would have done it with real cars.
That's why I'm so mad we didn't do another one, because the fourth one's so good. God, man, come on, Mel, one more. With me. Don't do one more without me. Because I don't want to have to answer the questions. And my mother, what did you say to Mel Gibson? If I wasn't in the next one. That's all I would hear.
These movies, defined a time and a place.
It was a time of creation, and it was as old-fashioned as it may seem. The good news is we really had to pay attention to the talent and kind of go through a process that you had to do in person.
They cared about the movies, they cared about what we made, we cared about what we were doing, they cared about how the movies came out, and they helped us make the best movie we can.
It was unique. I mean, I don't really know, in our 20 years, I don't know of any bunch of movies that were made the way these were made.
They set a standard for this type of picture. 87, 89, 92, 98. I mean, they went through the 80s and the 90s pretty strong.
I remember seeing plaques in Dick's office, first $1 billion director.
And that's nothing compared to what the cable television, international cable television, video, DVD revenues were.
It's a benchmark, I think, frankly. It's been copied over and over and over again, and sometimes successfully and sometimes not.
I think Lethal Weapon was still that sort of thing about it. It was right at the almost end of where you could play and at the same time be serious. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Dick Donner.
I'm going to do 4 sequels, but just because I loved them, you didn't want to let anybody else go near it. It was a joy. It sounds stupid, but I swear, Friday would come around and we were physically tired, but you almost missed not hanging out with these idiots.
Yeah, we'd hang out. We would hang out.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday.
We'd watch movies or some shit.
Yeah.
I think what has happened is that you see these two ordinary men placed right in the middle of issues that they can deal with directly or can have some impact on directly, but are much larger than them.
So, listen to your friend here. He knows what he's talking about. I don't think you really want to go to South Africa.
Why not?
Because you're black.
We all have different philosophies in both politics and life in general, but I mean, if you made a movie that's nothing more than a message, nobody's coming. But if you make a piece of entertainment and can sneak a message in, you've really served your purpose.
People connected to the humanity in it as well, in each point. And we turn it up another notch. All 3 of them, In fact, I was looking at part of the 4th one, and just the moment of finding the Chinese family in the boat and all that. Oh, God. third one when I teach my son to shave. That moment where after he, you know.
That is so great.
Yeah, teaching him to shave after his friend had been killed, you know. Someone he'd known in the neighborhood. I love you, son.
This is the helicopter.
This is
Quiet, please!
because I'm gonna be with you. I'm with you already. See, here we are. Come on, Mona, what do you got to lose? I mean, I get tears. You. I mean, really, it could be such a wonderful scene. And where was it on?
Miss Riggs, I just wanted to say
Riggs,
your
I just
name.
wanted to say your name. Okay.
I like it a lot.
His sister list.
Dick is a really nice guy. He's a good guy who likes people.
He's wonderful. He's just a great human being. I mean, he wants to save the planet, and that you can feel that on the set. He's just has so much compassion.
It was really a tight-knit family. And to be fair, Donner's really good at making a family work. For a man who doesn't have kids of his own, he's got a lot of us kids bouncing around out there.
It was a unique set. I don't think I'll ever be on a set like that. Not like that. No.
They're gonna flee. You guys are gonna flee. When you flee, you come out here. Not there.
And his pictures reflect that, I think. Even pictures like Lethal Weapon. You see, he couldn't make a dark movie. He couldn't make a really sort of down and dirty dark movie which is hateful and, you know, not about the good, you know, good side of people.
On Lethal 4, because they got to the point where, you know, Riggs is under the water and Murtaugh doesn't know what to do, and it's like, I told Dick, I go, he knows where he's at, because, you know, they're connected. And I kind of told him to him in those terms that he would just go, Riggs, talk to me, you know, like he would feel it. He'd feel where he's at. And Dick was like, you're right, that they bond that way because they're that close.
So we went from Krugerrands to money laundering to what was
the fourth one was immigration.
Immigration, human trafficking.
Human trafficking.
Now, we're doing another one, but it's about cooking. We sort of do this thing where we exchange recipe and shit. Yeah. And we have a picture of Julia Childs up on the wall, and Meryl Streep will come in and do it.
Rick, get in here, now! Only if you let me drive.
Story of my life. It's like as soon as I get in the movie, it's over. Same thing with Lethal. It's like, it's going, all right. You know, I'm thinking this is gonna, you know, it's like James Bond. You know, I got, you know, now I'm gonna get my 4 in. Nah, that's it. I'm gonna go make Apocalypto. You know, but I keep hearing, whenever I hear rumors of another Lethal, it has, I'm not in it.
It's an incredible relationship that we've developed over the years, and it's not a case that you talk in shorthand, but it's a case that you have no fears about expressing your emotions.
It's extraordinary. It's 12 years, man. You imagine that? You know, marriages don't even last 12 months sometimes. This is 12 years. It's a nice marriage, you know? He snores when he sleeps, but that's all right. How fortunate it was to be connected to these two right here.
The three of us. Well, the three of us.
Yeah. It's a hoot. It's
I think about that
it's
a
a
lot.
good bond, and that doesn't go away. It's a good bond to see
But
these
you know
guys
what?
get big smiles.
How many pictures does it go away?
Yeah.
Pictures over.
Oh yeah, it's over.
When you're divorced, you never
Yeah.
see each other again.
That's
You
it.
run socially like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
This thing, there was a relationship between the three of us.
Oh, it was a great experience. I couldn't wait to get back in the saddle, you know, because it was so fun.
I think about it all the time. I always am thinking about Danny. Well, where the hell is he? Why isn't he called?
Yeah.
Oh, and he calls, hey, baby, I'm going to be there. I'll be there tomorrow. You know, and he never shows up. And, and Mel, I see as much of Mel as I can. He's a traveling man. And
we had lunch last week.
Yeah, he paid.
I think I did.
Yeah, I did. I marked it down.
It's a great feeling, you know, to look back in 24 years, almost 24 years since that moment we stepped together. Yeah.
That living room right in there.
Stepped in that.
We all knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 dogs' lifetimes.
Yeah. Good dogs.
That's a great name for a book.
2 dogs'
2
lifetimes.
dogs' lifetimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 25 short years.
Yeah.
Wow.